Yeah. Yeah. Hey folks, a very good afternoon, 1 o'clock on the nail. We've got to be on time because we're dealing with the RAF here, Ministry of Defence, who would expect us to be exactly on time. Welcome to London, to Knightsbridge to be precise. We are on the roof of the Rembrandt Hotel, if you haven't figured that out already. I've got Gary with me. Gary, again, this is our 4th time here on the roof at the Rembrandt, so thank you to all the management at the Rembrandt, we really appreciate it. Those of you familiar with the London skyline, we'll show you some of the sights around us, historic sites, and of course we do have London City on arrivals. But what is important, folks, is that we are here to celebrate VE80, which is Victory in Europe 80. Can you imagine what the streets were like round here on this day 80 years ago? Just celebrations, everywhere, just, excuse me. Oh, flipping heck. Yeah, it's a bit cold up here on the roof, I have to be honest with you. We're very lucky. If you can see over in the distance, I'll show you again in a minute, we have just missed, just glanced, that has nearly hit us. That huge amount of rain there, which we were very fortunate to dodge. Heathrow, of course, is down that way. Another small bank, well, rather large bank of rain. Luckily, again, sort of like heading south, which is just what we need. Right behind me is Harrods, etc., etc. Right, okay, so in terms of what we're here for, to celebrate victory in Europe, the most important aircraft in my eyes that is leading the group today, we have 6 waves. Is it 6 waves, Gilly, or 5 waves? 5 waves. 6 waves. We'll go through all of those right now. Leading the group is the Lancaster bomber, PA474, and of course a historic piece of equipment that was used for so many successful operations during the Second World War. The most apt one in my eyes was Operation Manor, where at the end of the war, after the war had finished, Lancaster bomber squadrons threw out all the guns on their Lancasters, all the heavy equipment, and just loaded it up with food, parcels, sacks of wheat and grain or whatever it might have been, and rice and stuff like that, just for our friends over in Holland who were starving. So can you imagine that? Let's not look at the terrible loss of life and all that during the Second World War. Let's look at that Operation Manor as something that was just a significant moment, and one which my good friend Dave, who was a rear gunner with 460 Squadron on the Lancaster, that was his most, his best time ever during World War II, during the bombing campaign, of course. It would be, wouldn't it? Oh yeah, the best one was over Berlin when we had, like, you know, an ME-109 and an ME-110 night fighter. He was right up my backside. I was giving it loads with the guns. We nearly got shot down. We weaved this. Best one is obviously helping other people, humanitarian efforts, which, you know, that's just a wonderful thing to do. And it still carries on today, folks, with the aircraft that are following this beautiful Lancaster bomber, 4 Merlin engines, of course. I'd look her up if I were you, the Lancaster bomber. Look it up in Wikipedia, but specifically look under Operation Manor, M-A-N-A, which I believe that's right. Because obviously there's a lot of other history, the dams raid, chastise, you know, the Tirpitz, etc., etc. All stuff that was done to shorten the war, but unfortunately a huge loss of life, etc., etc. But anyway, the aircraft in wave 2 behind the Lancaster will be the A400M Atlas, and she will be followed by the Voyager, followed by the Atlas. Is that right? As if they're tanking, I believe that's going to be the right format that they're doing. They're forming up over the North Sea at the moment and other parts of the country. We believe that PA4740 the Lancaster bomber is in the air, which is great news, because I looked out the window this morning and it was quite blustery, and I was like, ooh, you know, it might be on the edge as to whether she flies or not, because obviously she's an old girl and she can't handle very extreme wind conditions. But they're going to put her through her paces today, and she's got a bit of a tailwind, a little bit of a tailwind coming in as well. So we might see a little bit of that going on. But behind her is the Voyager, which is the MRTT, multi-role tanker transport aircraft, which is basically a modified Airbus A330 passenger jet. That's it. Which nothing inside apart from literally the seating for around about 260 odd passengers. All the fuel that they use to refuel aircraft is stored and carried in the wings, and also in the horizontal stabilizers as well. Now, of course, remember that these 330s can fly right across the Atlantic and beyond. And they obviously, when they go on these missions, they fly down as far as like Italy, where they'll cruise around. Typhoons will come up and fuel off of them. These particular tankers, unlike the KC-135s that the Americans use, these tankers have drogues that like on big hoses that basically drag out of the side of the aircraft, where the first and fourth engine would normally be on a 4-engine variant of the A340. So a very clever thing that Airbus obviously offered the RAF as an MRTT. And also, I believe, there was news quite some time ago, I think it was, whether it was just somebody just saying it, but apparently I think it is it either the RAF or the US Air Force who've put an order in for the A339, which is the Neo variant of the A330, but as a multi-role transport tanker, or tanker transport. But anyway, so yes, we do have our own government jet, which is called Vespina. She is also a multi-role NMRTT. However, she's in the UK colours, and that aircraft is also configured inside to house delegates, the King, Prime Minister, that kind of stuff, you know, when they go on their visits and stuff like that. But apparently she hasn't been used for the last 7 years, 7 months. I believe last flew 7 months ago or something like that. She was at Bryce Norton the other day when we were there, which was great to see. And we of course had a great day at Bryce Norton. So we'll go over that in terms of some of the people that will be flying these aeroplanes today, because it is obviously an honour for these guys to be flying these aircraft in this formation. With these conditions today, it's going to be a little bit tricky, sort of like staying in formation because of the crosswind element that we've got coming right across us. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. It's not a nice, clear, little slight headwind breeze or anything like that. It's actually quite a challenging environment, and of course with all the wow, look at that rain over there, man. That's crazy. What a beautiful skyline, man. Look at that. With all of this, right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my other jacket on now, if that's all right, folks. And are we good, Jilly? Everything good? Audio checks out fine? Right. So behind the... oh, wow, look at that. You see that? It's just banking out. Going out of Heathrow. So Heathrow is directly west of us, folks. We're looking directly east here. There's definitely some water there, some precip. Let's hope, and I guess in a funny sort of way pray as well, of those of us who can say a little prayer for us, if that's all right. Let me just move my mic, because otherwise you're going to get lots of scratching on you. So I'm just going to prep myself. So trailing behind the Atlas, behind the Voyager, as it's known, is, I believe, I'm not sure exactly, let me just double check the squadron details, because this is always really really key. I don't know how many. Right, okay, so I'm just searching Voyager Squadron's Brise. The Voyager is operated by 10 Squadron and 101 Squadron. Now, here's what's really important, really interesting. If you're into your research like I am, yeah, I just love, as you could delve really deep, look at the history of 10 Squadron and 101. I bet you, hold on a minute, just see if that's highlighted. Okay, so then you copy that and then put 10 Squadron, World War II, search. Number 10 Squadron, RAF. This is really interesting. I remember reading this out of Brise the other day. This is just one little tiny snippet from Google that you can find. They give you the squadron badge, of course, which is strike hard, strike sure, was for bomber command during the war. Number 10 Squadron is a Royal Air Force squadron. The squadron has served in a variety of roles since it was formed in 1915, including, and this is the Voyager, folks. We're just talking about the aircraft, the first aircraft after the Lancaster bomber. So, you know, lots and lots of history to be learnt about the various squadrons that operate from Brise, from Waddington with the F-35s, from Coningsby, where 617 Squadron is still operational. The BBMF are operational there as well. I said Waddington, didn't I, for the Red Arrows that are based there, amongst other stuff. Rivet Joint, of course, which we'll come to in a minute, which is just an incredible aircraft. Lossiemouth, where the P-8 Poseidon aircraft, which is a modified 737, that's coming from Lossiemouth. That's a maritime aircraft. The F-35Bs from Marham, and we've got Typhoons from Coningsby as well. But let me just finish this little bit of a historic fact. It currently flies the Airbus Voyager KC-2 and KC-3 in the transporter tanker role from RAF Brise Norton. So let's just have a look and see history. First World War, wow. Part of the Royal Flying Corps before the RAF became the RAF. Number 1 Reserve Aircraft Squadron on 1st of January 1915, Farnborough Airfield in Hampshire. And then if we scroll down to here, June 1918, interwar, they flew the Handley Page Hyderabad from RAF Boscombe down, Handley Page, Vickers, Virginia. Wow, okay, on 16th of September 35, the unit helped provide the nucleus to form 97 Squadron, and later helped from 78 Squadron on the 1st of November 1936. Number 10 Squadron moved to RAF Dishforth. A lot of these airfields are no longer with us, unfortunately. Some of the remnants are still there, if you're lucky enough. But here's interesting: 10 Squadron, Handley Page Halifax Mark IIs were flown from RAF Leeming, and they carried out leaflet dropping missions, which was at the beginning of the war, of course, to just try and tell the German people, listen, man, you've got a bit of a nutter running your country at the moment. You need to sort of like stand back and have a look at what he's doing, and then have a think about who you want to, whether you really want to go to war. Obviously, a lot of people realised it, but back in those days, without social media, without being able to see somebody's history other than probably nothing in the libraries or anything like that, very difficult to do. So we had to rely on them just having a little bit of intelligence, which they obviously did. But anyway, you know, the history is the history. Anyway, so there we go. Just a tiny little bit of history about one squadron that's flying the second aircraft that's trailing the Lancaster, which is amazing. Behind the Voyager, in, like I say, a tanker position where they tank, because the Voyager would normally be, well, he'd be off to his left or to his right if he's tanking. Of course, the A400M Atlas aircraft, it's an Airbus aircraft as well, has the huge refueling nozzle right out over the top of the canopy, I believe. C-17 does as well, I think. But anyway, so the A400M is an aircraft which is kind of, well, it has actually replaced the C-130 Hercules and the C-130J as well, who Steve flew, that we met down at Bryce Norton. A completely sort of like redesigned aircraft in terms of its capability, able to land on very short strips, which are sort of like half length, even quarter of the length of a standard runway that you'd expect at somewhere like Gatwick or Heathrow or whatever, international runways. We're talking about something like Farnborough or something like that, even shorter than that. But so that aircraft obviously does missions for humanitarian reasons, dropping aid straight out the back of it. It's got a tail load. It's a ramp load system. It can carry an incredible amount of equipment on the aircraft. They can put a whole, I think it was no, that's the C-17, but it can carry a small helicopter amongst other equipment. But most importantly, humanitarian stuff. In fact, I just read this morning that apparently the one RAF squadron carried out yesterday a mission. I think it was the most noticeable mission that they had flown in terms of dropping an airdrop, basically, where they got these huge, great big containers and literally shove them out the back of the aircraft. I mean, have to be very carefully managed, that whole system. And if you watched the show the other day from Bryce, you would have seen that operator's section where he sits and operates the board, or she sits, of course, and then everything just slides out the back of the aircraft. And of course, these are these are just it's just fantastic, because the capability of the aircraft is just, you know, in terms of humanitarian stuff and aid missions, it's just an ideal piece of equipment, isn't it? Okay, so that's wave 2. Wave 3, need to get all this right, I think is C-17. Let me just double check. Okay. Should have it on there. Here we go, here we go. Right, okay, so wave 2, Voyager and A400M Atlas. Wave 3 is the C-17 Globemaster on its own. Another transport aircraft, but this one is kind of like more like a heavy lift aircraft. Let me show you that in the background there. More like a sort of like a heavy lift aircraft. So she was actually designed around the Abrams American tank. That's why she's so wide and has that perfect, I mean, it's still a tight fit, don't get me wrong. You slide an Abrams tank in there, you've got quite a lot of height, I'd imagine, but they can put the Abrams or a Lynx or something like that straight in the back of it, all the equipment and everything. They can also carry troops as well. But also, again, this is a jet-powered aircraft. The A400 is a prop-powered aircraft, interestingly enough. And I'm just sort of like, not correcting myself, but the other day, oh, sorry about that, Julie, stand by. Oh, do I? Okay. The interesting thing about the A400M, just quickly going back to that, I'm talking fast, by the way, folks, because I literally have got 45 minutes before, well, not even that now. It's, yeah, about 25 minutes or something like that. The A400M engines, okay, are not Rolls-Royce, because we were looking at them, and beautiful piece of architecture, basically. More so the props. I don't know if they're Doughty props, but anyway, I wanted to kind of like, because I did do my research before the show, obviously at Bryce Norton, but apparently I said that, well, it's a British engine, but it's not Rolls-Royce. And in fact, I was correct. It is the TP400 Europrop International. Whether they've got any relationship with Rolls-Royce, maybe Rolls-Royce build a particular part of the engine, I don't know. Maybe because basically a turboprop is like a giant APU. Well, a normal one that would be on something like an ATR, for example, but or on even a small aircraft, like a light aircraft. But these are big engines, and something on a future show that we'll talk about. It is the future open fan technology that aircraft manufacturers, engine manufacturers, and airlines are all striving towards in terms of what will be the next eco engine? Will it be open fan technology, etc., etc.? Because these current engines are getting so efficient now that they're sort of like having to back off and go, well, let's give it a bit of time and see what the efficiency numbers are on these current engines in terms of the technology and the updates that they're giving it. So anyway, that's something for the future. But yes, indeed, it's multinational apparently. So it's multinational. People in major applications is the A400M. So there we are, presented by Safran in 2017. So there we go. That's quite an interesting thing to note. The Globemaster, the C-17 Globemaster. This is a jet engine. Well, I say jet engine. It's a conventional airliner engined aircraft, believe it or not, powered by Pratt & Whitney PW4000 engines, which are a military variant of the same engine that goes on a 757 or a 767 or on a jumbo jet, a classic jumbo jet. This aircraft has one particular thing it has about it. Obviously, these are modified engines for military variant. The crazy thing is that they're able to slow the aircraft right down in order to drop altitude really quick by sliding the reversers open during flight. How crazy is that? You do that on a modern day jet, you're in trouble. So yeah, a really cool thing. And can I just go back to the A400 quickly? The flight deck of the A400M. Go and have a look at that on Google as well. Look at that under images. A400M Atlas flight deck. That is just right on an A380 flight deck. Absolutely incredible. We were on it the other day down at Bryce, and it shook me. It shocked me, sorry. Well, it shook me and all. But as I literally came up the steps and walked into the flight deck, I was like, wow, that's literally an A380 flight deck. All the screens and everything. Head-up displays though, and all that kind of stuff. So military stuff going on there. But yeah, C-17, capable of doing kind of the same sort of thing as the A400, although the C-17 is more heavy lift stuff. In wave 4 is the P8 Poseidon coming out of Lossiemouth. By the way, the Lancaster didn't come from Coningsby. Where did it come from, Gilly? Waddington, came from RAF Waddington. So they positioned her down there, made it a little bit less of a trek for them, I guess. The Voyager out of Bryce, the Atlas out of Bryce, I'm guessing Globemaster out of Bryce, P8 Poseidon, the MRA-1, which is a maritime aircraft for basically tracking submarines and stuff like that. All crazy stuff like that, like a war room, but above the sea, to control and oversee stuff going on on the water. So a really interesting aircraft, that one. Not sure how many we've got, but it is literally, when you look at it, the P8 Poseidon, it'll come up on the screen, by the way, folks. When you see it, you'll think, oh, it's a 737. Well, that is basically what it is. Still got the CFM56 engines on it and everything. But obviously, again, a military variant with bristling with lots of masts on it. If you look closely, I'll try not to go too close on it because the sky's not brilliant, so they're going to be very silhouetted. But again, go on Google, have a look on images, look at the P8 Poseidon military aircraft, maritime aircraft, and you'll see all the equipment that they've got. Inside that jet is just desks and banks of people sitting there looking at radar and crazy stuff like that. With that aircraft is 2 Typhoon FGR-4s from Coningsby, I believe, or maybe, no, one of them's from Coningsby, one of them's from Lossiemouth, I believe. And the one from Lossiemouth has obviously gone with him, hasn't he? How cool is that, man? What a great day it is for all these air crew and the people involved in it, because it's like massively out of the norm, isn't it? Not so much for the Lancaster, because during this time of year is when all the season starts with the BBMF doing their displays all around the country, and they do a fantastic job, not just flying it but maintaining it as well. But on that subject, again, another time. Now, wave 5, rivet joint. I would seriously recommend
going and having a look in on Google. I know you're doing a lot of research at the moment, but go with me on this one. Rivet joint, R-I-V-E-T, J-O-I-N-T, Rivet joint is basically, I know it's not a modified 707, but that's a good way to describe it to anybody who doesn't really know their aircraft or knows about the 707, because people are going to look at that who know about 707s and go, oh, it's a 707. It's not, but let's just leave it there like that for the time being, okay? But it's this, talk about the Poseidon being bristling with equipment. Rivet joint is incredible. Rivet joint has got so much power that when it came into Mildenhall, over the top of us, all our equipment went dead. Do you remember that, Jelly? She's literally a flying radar, incredible. And it's an aircraft that will fly at high altitude and conduct the, almost like they called it in the Second World War, the master of ceremonies. Literally, they did. Somebody would fly above the bombing stream or the city and conduct, call in the bombers. Literally, there's quite a few famous people throughout Second World War who were responsible for that mission, and they were usually conducted in either a Mustang or Mosquitoes, something like that. Absolutely incredible history on that one. But basically, Rivet joint is a modern day war room where literally they will conduct operations, see and be able to track aircraft, enemy stuff that's coming in. So it's basically an airborne war room. And again, this is another. She's got a long nose. She's got a long nose. That's the one thing you'll really notice about her. She's got a very long nose. But that's just like intense radar of I'm guessing, because obviously in the nose of a commercial jet is the weather radar. But in this one, because it's so long, I'm guessing that it's got maybe a couple of things that are turning around in it. I don't know. Maybe it's the washing machine. I don't know. But anyway, incredible piece of equipment. Again, bristling with stuff. Old aircraft, it has to be said. Quite an old aircraft. I'm not sure what alternative they're going to be replacing Rivet jointed with, because these aircraft are very old. I mean, we're talking in the late 20s, 30 years old, something like that, maybe even longer than that, because these aircraft were developed around the 707. I'm not saying it's the 707. I know that, you know, the refueling KC-135, which is the other variant of the 707, which is not a 707. I know it's a different framework, but it's got very, very similar looking to the 707, apart from the engines. But Rivet joint, you'll notice, I think, has got quality old school Pratt & Whitney style engines, I believe. Let me just have a look. It's been such a long time since I've seen her. Hold on a minute. Let me just have a look. Rivet joint engines. No, not river joint. No, not river joint. T. River joint. Okay, 4. Okay, no, my apologies. 4 CFM. Wow, yeah, the CF201 turbofan engine, which is must be CF6. That's a CF6 engine, isn't it? There we go. So my apologies. So she's a bit like one of the old DC-8s that has been re-engined. With the CFCs, is it CF6 or CFM on the A3 DC-8? Oh, they are CFM 56s, yeah. Because I think the CF6s would be a bit too much for a 707 type frame, wouldn't it? CFM 56, very popular engine, that, folks. You look that engine up, and it's just got so much history and so much, such a success rate. Of course, the 737 re-engining aircraft like Rivet joint, because Rivet joint, the original engines would have been old Pratt & Whitney engines. But engine type CFM, there we go, 201 turbofans. 21,600 pounds of thrust on each engine. Oh, it's a yes, a military derivative of the CFM56. Right, so there we go, rivet joint, and then she will be flanked by 2 F-35B Lightning aircraft. Now these aircraft, folks, look up the Harrier jump jet. That's an aircraft which I remember from my old days as a young lad, going to the one of my favourite. Used to come along the crowd line like that, making a right old racket, didn't it? Back before health and safety, where now it would be like half a mile away. What's that going on over there? You know, and then it'd do like that, wouldn't it? Go like that at the crowd and all that. I think they do that with the F-35 in the displays now as well, but a little bit further out, of course, because of health and safety and all that. But anyway, so 2 F-35s are going to be alongside. Those guys are from Marham. We're hoping to do something with those guys in the RAF up at Marham at some point, folks, because, you know, it's kind of like the unknown with a lot of people. A lot more people know about the Typhoons because of Coningsby and how accessible it is, whereas Marham is like, you know, you've got to respect the local village of Marham and all that sort of thing for the local people. In wave 6, folks, will be 9 Hawks of the Red Arrows. Again, probably trailing, I would imagine. They will be guaranteed 100% straight as they cross over Buckingham Palace, which is about, what would you say, Gary, as the crow flies, a mile away? Just about 1 mile away from me now, folks. Is right behind me there is Buckingham Palace, which obviously the King's there, along with all his family, and they'll be flying straight over the palace and straight towards us. Hopefully the spacing will be decent enough, so that, especially for the Lancaster. I just want you to be able to hear those engines, even with this wind. I'm hoping you get to really hear those 4 Merlin engines, because they are the proper old double X engines. They're not the super duper ones which are on the Nanton Lanc from Canada. That's a Canadian built Lanc. This is I think a UK built Lanc, but the Merlin engines, the double X's, would have come out of the Ford plant in Dagenham. Can you believe it? Stories, 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 lots of stories. So with them will be another 2 F-35 Lightning Bs from Marham. So there's your lineup, folks. Now we will, how long have we got? 10 minutes? How about that? What about filling that? Let's have a little look around London, shall we? And look at what we've luckily missed. Jillian, going to change headsets, stand by. Good old Gary. I'll tell you what, as stories go, is there I said to Gary, thanks Gary, by the way, here he is down here, folks. Hello mate, thank you Gary, looking after us up here on the roof at the Rembrandt. I'll have to tell that story on another show, mate, because it goes on a bit, doesn't it? But let's go from the north, shall we? Look at this skyline here. Some of the beautiful old architecture behind me. Natural, is it natural history? Oh, that's the Victoria and Albert right here. That's the Victoria and Albert. And then the natural history further on. And then you've got the Science Museum. You've got all that kind of stuff. Great, beautiful, beautiful architecture. Oh, that's a little bit tight there. So our skyline, our London skyline, lots of people will know the Post Office Tower, as it, I think they might have changed hands now, should have a rotating top to it. What's that say? Liverpool champions? Oh, no, VE Day, sorry, yes. Yeah, look at that, right up Knightsbridge. You can see all the way down Knightsbridge towards Harrods, which Gary's been here for 37 years, he's never been to. Brilliant. But look at this lovely skyline over here, folks. And of course, literally, I'd say, which crane would you say it's in alignment with? The big red one here? Buck Palace.
Yeah, it's just behind
Yeah, the one closest to us, that big red one. So that is literally, we're looking, that's the line that they should take literally from the distance there. That lovely old famous Harrods. Okay, let me just, right, okay, my mic's good, everything's good. Everybody's happy with the audio, Julie, because that's key in this whole operation as well, is making sure the audio's good. I am not going to, actually, you know what I need to do? I need to make sure that, because I'm going to be giving the call out for wave 1 and wave 2 GP, but I don't want them hearing that over the audio, so I'm just wondering, let me just do a quick mic check. If I move it over here, hold on a minute. Yeah, just stand by, yeah. No, because I'm moving it, I'm going to put it on the camera. Put the mic on the camera, right? Okay, normal audio sound, normal audio. Is this good? Everybody happy? That's my normal audio. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so now I can do my jacket right up. Okay, we're good. We are good to go. You didn't hear anything, no? No, I'm making sure that you can hear it from me. Oh, okay, that's what you. There's the Shard, ladies and gentlemen. Tallest building in Europe, is it? The O2, not the O2, sorry, the old. That's where the New Year's celebrations are always held. From the Houses of Parliament are just sort of like over a little bit further down. We've got Battersea over to our right. We've got a couple of choppers over the top of us. Choppers over the top from the local constabulary, looking after everything. Okay, Lancaster just heading over Chipping Ongar. That's Essex, isn't it? So what's the altitude that they're going to be flying? Because that's quite low, isn't it? Wow. So yes, I think Barrow is that's Crystal Palace off there in the distance. It's not Crystal Paris, Crystal Palace. And if you ever get the opportunity, folks, because that used to be a derelict building up until about 10 years ago, I think, maybe even less than that. The development they've done around that thing is just incredible. And then, of course, as we pan around, look at that weather that we are very, very fortunate to have missed, folks. I mean, we do have another load coming in towards us, but I think I'll be gone by then. But look at that. Very fortunate. And then, of course, all the way down there, you got 09 right departures. So it's quite apt, to be honest with you, that the Lancaster is heading this procession. It's for me, it's just got so much history, so much heritage, this aeroplane, in terms of the fact that it, before the Lancaster bomber, we had a very limited amount of aircraft. We had the Handley Page Hampden, that was a twin-engined aircraft. We had the Wellington bomber, a very sturdy aircraft, even though it was covered with fabric, believe it or not. A wooden plane. More or less, much like the Mosquito, but we had a very limited arsenal in terms of bombers, and because obviously Hitler had built up a pretty decent arsenal, even though they only had the HE-111 really as their major, and it was only a twin-engine bomber. But when the original Lancaster was conceived, it was actually conceived as the Manchester, and it was of course a twin-engined aircraft. But it wasn't twin engine, it only visually had 2 engines, but it was actually 4 engines because it was 2 engines bolted on top of each other, literally. Well, on their bottoms were bolted together. Incredible piece of engineering when you think about it from all those years ago, 80 years ago, plus years ago. But the aircraft had tremendous overheating problems. Interestingly enough, it was such an unreliable aircraft. However, one man flew it for a number of missions, and that man, or boy, should I say, was Guy Gibson. 24 years old when he was running 617 Squadron. How incredible is that? Can you imagine anybody that you know that's 24 years old having that capability and that, being called upon by the Ministry of Defence to create a squadron? But anyway, yes, Gibson flew the Manchester in his squadron prior to 617, because he, of course, was not... Jilly, keep giving me updates, yeah, in terms of aircraft approaches. But the developers, AV Row, then basically extended the wing and put an extra engine on the wing, giving it 4 engines and making it into the Lancaster bomber, taking that little fin out at the back as well. Had a little vertical stabilizer thing on it, or a dorsal fin, and that was gone. And then of course the Lancaster was born, 4 Merlin engines. Right off the bat, she was a very successful aeroplane, capable of carrying incredible amount of weight. I mean, upkeep, the bouncing bomb, as most people know it, was a heavy piece of ordnance, let's face it. But the cookie, not just the cookie, the cookies were like 4,000 pounds, and then you had the tall boy, which was around about 12,000 pounds. Imagine that slung under an aeroplane like that. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, Lancaster, as well as that, you just have to think of the brave young men, Walthamstow, right? The brave young men who flew these aircraft day in, day out, or night in, night out. Incredible amount of bravery, folks. And what is, I've just, Lancaster approaching Hadley. Hackney. Stand by, stand by. There she is. I got her. Stand by. So she might be getting a bit booted around at the moment with the winds up there. She's got a bit of a crosswind element on approach. It's going to stick to that altitude. No, I didn't. 55,000 components go into the Lancaster bomber. That's exactly the same amount of men who lost their lives during the campaign with Bomber Command. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now, folks. As soon as she reaches past, I'm going to... unfortunately, we've got these choppers over the top of there. They're going to kind of drown out the sound of these Merlins, but we'll still get to hear them. And enjoy this, ladies and gentlemen. The Lancaster bomber of the RAF BBMF, the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, originating in Coningsby.
ADSB shut. Oh, they're going left. Okay, there we go. Before they hit Heathrow, I'm guessing. So I'm guessing they probably got another fly past to do, because they will be formatting. Look at that. Remember the old Concorde format? So I guess they're heading to another, maybe down on the south coast, or you know, they have tea parties and stuff like that all over the place. So lots of lucky people. Maybe they're actually going to try and miss that terrible bit of weather there. How about that, folks? How about that? Thank you, everybody. I know it was brief, but blimey, what about that? And you know what I did? I forgot to, well, I didn't forget, but I didn't. Well, no, I did forget to read out all the crew names that we had flying these particular aircraft. But we will be hopefully doing some more stuff. By the way, anybody who's interested, this was in collaboration with the MOD today, folks. We're very honoured and humbled to be collaborating with the Ministry of Defence. There's a lot of my history goes back to that sort of, like, you know, the Bomber Command and Fighter Command, and my history with that is something that I'm very humbled to finally get here at the end of that amazing journey, to be working with some amazing people like the Ministry of Defence. So thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Look after yourselves. By the way, anybody interested, I'm going to be flying the A400 tonight on Flight Sim, and we're going to be see if we can hunt down a short airstrip somewhere in the UK to land at in an emergency situation. So we will see you later. Thank you, Gary, once again. Thank you to the Rembrandt. Thank you, Jilly. She has been your technical director today. And thank you, everybody who's helped out with all the information and all the technical stuff as well. Thank you, folks. We'll see you tonight. Cheers. Bye. Camera off, yeah.